written in the breath of three men kneeling in the dirt, and it would define every major decision Liu Bei made for the rest of his life. Here is the part of the story that most people skip. They jump to the empire. They jump to the throne. They skip the 20 years of failure in between. Let's not skip it, because the 20 years of failure is the whole point. After the rebellion, Liu Bei was given a small official post. Then he lost it. He was given another. Then he lost that too. He fought alongside warlords who used him and discarded him. He allied with men who betrayed him. He held territory that was taken from him before he could even settle in. Alivinci University, Legends of the Three Kingdoms, Liu Bei. Episode 1. The warlord Cao Cao, perhaps the most brilliant and ruthless man in China at the time, crushed him more than once. Liu Bei ran. He always ran. Not because he was a coward, but because he understood something important. A dead man cannot rebuild. Liu Bei lost his wife. He lost his territory. He lost armies he had spent years building. There were moments when he had nothing left. Literally nothing. Just himself, his brothers, and whatever horse was left beneath him. One of the most famous images in the entire Three Kingdoms legend is Liu Bei, fleeing from Cao Cao's forces, his horse galloping hard, and the horse suddenly stumbling, throwing him into a riverbank. He lay there in the mud, a grown man, a man who had been fighting for 20 years, and he wept, not from weakness, from exhaustion, from the weight of all those years of trying and failing and picking himself back up again. But he got up. He always got up. That is the thing about Liu Bei that the history books note again and again. He had an almost supernatural capacity for recovery. Not just physical recovery, emotional recovery. The man could lose everything and somehow find the will to start again. By the time Liu Bei was in his mid-40s, he was tired. Not the tired that sleep fixes. The deeper tired. The kind that comes from years of fighting without a clear direction. He had land now, a small foothold in the south. He had loyal men. He had his brothers. But he had no strategy. No grand plan. No one who could see the whole board the way a master sees it. And then someone told him about a man living in the hills, a young scholar, barely 30 years old, living in a thatched hut on Longzhong Mountain, farming, reading, thinking. His name was Zhuge Liang, and the people who knew him called him the Sleeping Dragon. They said he was the greatest mind of the age. They said that if Liu Bei could get this man on his side, the whole war would change. So Liu Bei rode to his door, and Zhuge Liang was not home. So Liu Bei left and came back. And Zhuge Liang was still not home. So Liu Bei came a third time, in winter, through the snow, standing at the door of a grass hut. A warlord in his 40s, standing in the cold, waiting for a 30-year-old farmer to agree to meet him. His generals were impatient. Zhang wanted to drag the man out by force, but Liu Bei stood there, quietly, respectfully, and he waited. When Zhuge Liang finally emerged and sat across from Liu Bei, he laid out a vision that changed everything. He told Liu Bei exactly what the world looked like. He told him where the opportunities were. He told him how a man with the right territory and the right alliances could carve out a kingdom, even in a China that was already dominated by giants. Liu Bei listened, and when Zhuge Liang was done, Liu Bei asked him to leave the mountain and join him. Zhuge Liang agreed, and from that moment on, the story changed. With Zhuge Liang at his side, Liu Bei began to move differently, smarter, more patient, more deliberate. He formed an alliance with Sun Quan, the lord of the Eastern Kingdom. Together, they faced Cao Cao's enormous army at the Battle of Red Cliffs in 208 AD. Cao Cao came with hundreds of thousands of soldiers. He came to end it, to finally crush every rival and unite China under his name. China. 161 AD. The Han Dynasty, one of the greatest empires the world had ever seen, was slowly falling apart. Corruption had rotted its foundations. Eunuchs controlled the court. Famines swept the countryside. Peasants were starving. And in the chaos of a crumbling world, powerful men were already sharpening their swords. Liu Bei was born into this world, not as a prince, not as a warrior, not as anything particularly special. He was born in Zhuge County, in what is now Hebei Province. Alivinci University. Legends of the Three Kingdoms. Liu Bei. Episode 1. His father died when he was still a child. His mother raised him alone. They were so poor that Liu Bei wove mats from reeds and braided sandals from hemp rope, not as a hobby, not as a pastime, but because that was how they ate. His family claimed royal blood. A distant branch of the Han imperial line, they said. A great-great-great-grandfather who was once a prince. Maybe that was true. Maybe it was a story his mother told him on cold nights to make him feel like more than what he was. Either way, it planted something in him. An idea. A belief. A quiet, stubborn conviction that he was meant for something more than this dust. As a young man, Liu Bei caught the attention of a local nobleman who saw something in him. He was given the chance to study, to learn, to sit under masters who taught him strategy and literature and the ways of the ancient kings. But school could not contain him. He was not the type who liked to sit still and read. He was the type who liked to talk to people, who liked to listen, who liked to sit in the marketplace and hear the stories of soldiers and merchants and wanderers passing through. He had a presence about him. People felt it when he walked into a room. Not power, exactly. Not intimidation. Something warmer than that. Something that made people want to follow him before he had given them a single reason to. That gift, that quiet magnetism, was the one thing nobody could take away from him. In 184 AD, a massive peasant rebellion swept across the country. Hundreds of thousands of desperate, starving people took up arms against a dynasty that had abandoned them. Liu Bei was 23 years old. He gathered a small group of followers and joined the fight. But it was not the war that changed his life. It was two men he met along the way. Alivinci University. Legends of the Three Kingdoms. Liu Bei. Episode 1. The first was Guan, a giant of a man. Tall, with a long red beard that became the stuff of legend. He had killed a local bully back in his hometown and fled with a price on his head. He was wandering, looking for something worth fighting for. The second was Zhang. Zhang was the opposite of Guan Yu in every way. Loud, wild, reckless. A butcher by trade. The kind of man who drank too much and laughed too loud and would walk into a fight against 20 men without blinking. 3 very different men who found each other in the middle of a broken world. And then they walked into a garden of peach trees blossoming in the spring. And they knelt together beneath those blossoming branches. And they spoke the words that would bind them for the rest of their lives. We 3, though of different families, swear to be brothers. We will share hardship and support each other in danger. We ask not to be born on the same day, in the same month, in the same year, but we ask to die on the same day, in the same month, in the same year. That oath was not just poetry. It was a contract, but the alliance held. Cao Cao's fleet was burned on the river. His army shattered. He fled north, and Liu Bei finally had his opening. He moved south and west. He captured the province of Jing. He pushed into the fertile lands of Yizhou. He took Chengdu, one of the great cities of China, in 214 AD. And in 221 AD, 60 years after his birth in poverty, Liu Bei proclaimed himself emperor. The man who had sold sandals on a street corner now sat on a throne. He named his kingdom Shu Han. He ruled with a style unlike most warlords of his age. He was known for weeping openly when his people suffered. He was known for surrounding himself with men of talent rather than men of flattery. Whatever his flaws, and he had many, he genuinely believed in what he was building. But then came the blow that broke him. Guan Yu, his brother, his sworn brother, the man who had stood beside him since before any of this existed. In 219 AD, Guan Yu led a campaign in the north. He pushed deep into enemy territory and won stunning victories. But the alliance with Sun Quan had fractured. And while Guan Yu was fighting in the north, Sun Quan's forces moved against him from behind. Guan Yu was surrounded, captured, and executed. When the news reached Liu Bei, he collapsed. By every account, he was inconsolable. He wept for days. His advisors urged him to be calm. Zhuge Liang urged patience. The strategists urged him to think. Liu Bei could not think. Liu Bei could only feel. He launched the largest military campaign of his life, not for territory, not for strategy, not for the grand plan, but for Guan Yu. He marched east with an enormous army. He was going to destroy Sun Quan. He was going to avenge his brother. And then, in 222 AD, at a place called Xiaoting, Sun Quan's brilliant young general waited him out. Let the summer heat exhaust Liu Bei's forces. Let the army settle into camps along the riverbanks, and then set everything on fire. Liu Bei's army was destroyed. He retreated to a fortress called White Emperor City, broken, humiliated, and gravely ill. The man who had survived 20 years of constant defeat, the man who had always found a way to get back up, was not getting back up this time. Liu Bei died in 223 AD. He was 62 years old. But before he died, he did something extraordinary. He called Zhuge Liang to his bedside, and he looked at the greatest mind he had ever known, the man he had stood in the snow for, the man who had helped him build everything. And he said, "My son is weak and unworthy of great responsibilities. After my death, if you find him capable, then help him. If he is not capable, then you may take the throne yourself." Think about what that means, not the politics of it, the humanity of it. A man on his deathbed, looking at someone he trusted completely, and saying, "I care more about the people than about my own bloodline." That is the final portrait of Liu Bei. Not the victories, not the empire, but a dying man placing what he had built in the hands of someone he believed in and letting go. Zhuge Liang wept. He swore he would serve the sun with everything he had. He kept that promise until he too was gone. Liu Bei's kingdom survived him by over 40 years, and his story, told and retold and dramatized and painted and sung for 2,000 years, never really ended at all. Now, 5 lessons from a man who lost everything more than once and built an empire anyway. Lesson 1. Your starting point is not your destiny. Liu Bei sold sandals in the dirt. He spent decades being nobody. The world gave him nothing, and he built an empire anyway. Where you begin has almost nothing to do with where you can end up. Lesson 2. Character is a strategy. Liu Bei was not the strongest warlord. He was not the richest. He lost more battles than most men in his era. But people followed him because he was real with them, because he cared. In the long run, people will follow someone they trust far longer than someone they fear. Lesson 3. Find your Zhuge Liang. Liu Bei wandered in circles for 20 years. The moment he found the right advisor, the right mind, the right mentor, everything changed. The right mentor is not a luxury. It is the difference between decades of struggle and a clear path forward. And when you find that person, show up 3 times if you have to. Lesson 4. Loyalty is not weakness. It is power. Liu Bei's greatest mistake, launching the war to avenge Guan, was driven by love, not strategy. And it cost him everything. But the loyalty that broke him was also the loyalty that built him. People gave their lives for Liu Bei because he would give his life for them. There is something about a man who will burn down his plans for his people that makes people want to serve him. Lesson 5. Grief is real. Give it its space, then keep moving.